This is Joy of Heaven, Saint of the Day for September 30th, as we celebrate the feast of Saint Jerome's Day. Saint Jerome was a priest and monk who lived in the 300s to 400s. He is known for translating almost all of the Bible into Latin. He was also significant because of his teachings on Christian morality. He was named a Doctor of the Church.
Saint Jerome was born around the year 342, as Eusebius Sophronius Hieronymus, in an area of modern-day Croatia or Slovenia. His parents were most likely wealthy. Little else is known about Jerome's childhood, except that a famous Roman grammarian instructed him in Latin and Greek. When Jerome was around 12 years old, he went to Rome. There, he studied grammar, rhetoric, and philosophy. During this time, he forgot the morality of his upbringing and pursued worldly pleasure. Feeling deep guilt over this, he frequently visited the Roman crypts and imagined himself in hell.
Jerome's companion Bosonus was a Christian. Bosonus's influence helped persuade Jerome to renounce his worldly ways and become a Christian. After Jerome was baptized, he became interested in theology. He traveled with Bosonus, in search of a place to study. Jerome ended up studying in a monastery that was overseen by Saint Valerian. Jerome met a monk named Rufinus, who was skilled at Greek to Latin translation. Jerome and Rufinus became friends, as Jerome worked to improve his own translation skills. Jerome soon began translating books. In 374, he arrived in Antioch. Here, he wrote his first work, concerning the 7 beatings.
Around this time, Jerome contracted an illness. He began to have visions and became more devoutly religious. He lived as a hermit for some time. When he left his hermitage, church officials in Antioch and even the Pope asked him to become a priest. Jerome preferred the life of a hermit, but he agreed to be ordained on the condition that he could continue his monastic living. Soon, Jerome traveled to Constantinople. There, he studied theology under Saint Gregory of Nazianzus. After this, Jerome went to Rome for a church council. Pope Damascus then made Jerome his secretary. While serving as the Pope's secretary, Jerome began his famous translation of the Bible into Latin.
During this time, Jerome also preached asceticism to everyone around him. A group of Roman women pursuing holiness were among those who listened to him. After the Pope died in 384, Jerome was met with criticism and controversy. Some critics of Jerome who had remained quiet during the Pope's life now loudly condemned Jerome and falsely accused him of impropriety with one of the women. Jerome soon returned to Antioch. He worked hard on theological writings and defending the faith against heresy. He continued his great work of translating the Bible into Latin. Jerome died peacefully in 420. Saint Jerome's feast day is on September 30th. Saint Jerome is the patron saint of translators. You can ask him to pray for you if you are a translator, or you can ask him to pray for a translator whom you know. Saint Jerome is also the patron saint of librarians and biblical scholars. You can ask for his intercession if you are a librarian or a biblical scholar. Or you can ask him to intercede for a librarian or biblical scholar whom you know. Additionally, Saint Jerome is the patron saint of archaeologists. You can ask for his prayers if you are an archaeologist, or you can ask him to pray for an archaeologist whom you know. Thank you.
Oh,